I never thought the worst message of my life would come from someone I'd only seen 3 times at parties. It was an ordinary Wednesday. I was editing a wedding video for clients from Laguna Beach when my phone vibrated. A message from Jennifer, Rose's friend, someone I barely knew. "Walt, we need to talk. It's important." "It's about Rose." My heart stopped. "My name is Walt, I'm 32 years old, and for the past 3 years I've been married to Rose, a bright, ambitious woman whose YouTube channel about travel and lifestyle was gaining popularity. I filmed all her content. We were a team. At least that's what I thought. I met Jennifer that same evening at a coffee shop. She looked uncomfortable, twirling her cup in her hands. "Look, I thought long and hard about whether to tell you. Last week Rose was in Atlantic City. She wasn't alone." Atlantic City. Rose told me she was going there for a business conference for content creators. 2 days, she said. She even showed me the event program. "With whom?" My voice sounded foreign to me. "Some guy. Joel, I think." Jennifer said she saw them together at a hotel. They were holding hands, Walt. And kissing. I spent the next few hours in some kind of fog. I checked bank statements. Rose had been withdrawing cash. A lot. I looked through her phone bills through our family plan, dozens of calls to one number I didn't recognize. But the worst part, I opened her laptop, which she'd left at home. Tinder. Her profile was still active. Messages with Joel. Daycare director, his profile read. 34 years old. And their messages, they'd been talking for 6 months. I felt the ground disappear from under my feet. But then I saw something else. Rose was texting him about money. Our money. She had opened a credit card in my name that I didn't know about and spent nearly $30,000. On what? On gifts for Joel, on their trips, on hotels. I didn't confront her immediately. Maybe this seemed strange, but I needed evidence. Solid. Irrefutable. Because I knew Rose, she would deny everything, say I was paranoid, that Jennifer was lying. I had an advantage. I'm a videographer. And I had a drone. A professional one with a powerful camera which I used for filming weddings and events. When a week later Rose said she was going to her mom's in Los Angeles for the weekend, I knew it was a lie. I had installed a tracker on her car earlier, a small GPS device used for tracking equipment. She didn't go to her mom's. She went back to Atlantic City. I followed her. Kept my distance, and when she parked near a luxury hotel on the boardwalk, I launched the drone. I positioned myself in a deserted spot a few blocks away, controlling everything from a tablet. The camera was incredible. I watched as Rose met Joel at the entrance. How they embraced. How he kissed her. I recorded everything. Then they went to a room on the top floor, large panoramic windows facing the ocean. The drone hovered at the level of their floor, far enough away that they wouldn't notice, but close enough for the camera to capture everything. I filmed for an hour. Their intimacy. How they drank champagne. Laughed. Rose looked happy. Happier than I'd seen her in recent months with me. When I returned to Irvine, I edited everything. But this was only part of the plan. I hired a lawyer. Showed him everything. Correspondence, bank statements, drone footage. He smiled, not happily but professionally. "You have everything you need. Fraud, infidelity, financial manipulation in your name. She won't get anything." But I wanted more. Through my lawyer I found out where Joel worked. A prestigious private daycare in Laguna Beach. Parents paid thousands per month there. And it turned out Joel was married. With 3 children. I compiled a dossier. Printed out their Tinder correspondence, photos, evidence of their trips. And sent everything to Joel's wife. Anonymously. Then I waited. 2 weeks later, Rose returned from another trip. I was sitting on the couch when she came in, cheerful with shopping bags. "Hi, honey. I missed you so much." "Rose, sit down." She froze. Saw my expression. "What happened?" I laid folders on the table. Bank statements. Printouts of messages. Photos from the drone. "I want a divorce." Her face went pale. She tried to deny it, then cry, then scream. She blamed me for being boring, for not giving her attention, for making her feel lonely. But I wasn't listening anymore. The trial was brutal. My lawyer destroyed her defense. The credit card in my name, that was fraud. $30,000 of debt she had accumulated, the court ordered her to pay me half. We sold the apartment in Irvine, split it equally. Her YouTube equipment, which I had bought, mine. Because I was the operator. Rose tried to contact Joel after Joel's wife found out about everything. He didn't respond. It turned out his wife filed for divorce, and the daycare board of directors asked him to leave after the scandal. Parents didn't want their children learning at an institution with such a director. Joel blocked Rose everywhere. The last I heard, Rose moved to a small studio apartment in San Bernardino. Her channel lost sponsors after someone accidentally leaked information about the scandal in the comments under her video. Subscribers started unsubscribing. And me? I sold my share of the apartment, moved to San Diego, opened my own studio. I got more clients. Turns out, when you're not spending all your time filming free content for someone else's channel, you have time for real business. 8 months passed. I received a message from an unknown number. Walt, this is Rose. I'm sorry for everything. You were right. Joel turned out to be a complete jerk. I lost everything. Can we talk? I stared at the screen for several minutes, then deleted the message without responding. Some bridges are worth burning to the ground, so there's never a temptation to go back. The credit debt she accumulated in my name? The court ruled she had to pay me $15,000, half the amount. She pays monthly. Each payment is a reminder to her of how much lies cost. And I learned to trust my instincts. And if something seems suspicious, it usually is. But let me back up and tell you how this all really started, because the full picture is even more twisted than I initially realized. 3 years ago, Rose and I met at a film festival in Santa Monica. I was there showcasing my documentary work, and she was a relatively new YouTuber trying to network. She had maybe 10,000 subscribers back then, mostly doing lifestyle vlogs about living in Southern California. She was magnetic, the kind of person who lit up a room when she walked in. Our courtship was whirlwind. Within 3 months, we were living together in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Irvine. Within 6 months, we were married at a small beach ceremony in Malibu. It felt right. She supported my videography business and I helped her grow her channel. By our first anniversary, she had hit 100,000 subscribers. By our second, she was at 300,000. That's when things started changing, though I didn't see it at the time. Rose became obsessed with growth metrics. Every conversation revolved around engagement rates, sponsorship deals, and what other creators were doing. She started traveling more for content opportunities. A weekend in San Francisco for a hotel collaboration, 4 days in Portland for a tourism board partnership, a week in New York for a beauty brand launch. I stayed home, editing her footage, managing her workflow, handling the technical side while building my own client base. I was making decent money, enough to cover our bills and put some aside. Middle class, stable, nothing flashy. Rose's channel was bringing in more, especially with sponsorships, but she always seemed to need more. More equipment, more travel, more everything. It's an investment in our future, she'd say. Once I hit 1 million subscribers, we'll be set. I believed her. I was the supportive husband, the behind-the-scenes guy making her dreams possible. But around month 18 of our marriage, something shifted. Rose started being protective of her phone. She'd take calls in another room. Her business trips became more frequent and longer. When I'd offer to come along and film, she'd find excuses. The brands wanted their own photographers, or it wasn't a content trip, just networking, or the schedule was too tight. I rationalized everything. She was driven, ambitious. This was normal for someone building a personal brand. I was being paranoid. Then came the Tinder discovery and everything I'd rationalized crumbled. After Jennifer's revelation, I went full investigator mode. I'm not proud of it, but I accessed Rose's cloud storage. She had thousands of photos backed up, including screenshots she probably thought she'd deleted. Messages with Joel going back 7 months. It started innocently enough. They matched on Tinder. She told him she was in a complicated situation. He said he understood because he was dealing with his own marriage issues. Classic affair script. Their first meeting was in Anaheim, at a hotel near Disneyland. She told me she was having lunch with a potential sponsor. The text showed they'd spent 4 hours together. By meeting 3, they were planning their Atlantic City trip. What gutted me was reading how she talked about me. He's nice but boring. He doesn't understand my ambitions. I feel trapped. Meanwhile, to my face, she was all smiles and affection. She'd come home from these business trips and be extra loving, probably out of guilt. The financial fraud was calculated too. She opened the credit card using my information 3 months into the affair. She had access to everything, my social security number, my income details, everything a spouse typically has. She spent $28,000 over 4 months. Hotels, gifts, dinners, even a weekend trip to Las Vegas for her and Joel that she told me was a solo creative retreat. When I discovered the GPS tracker option, it felt like the universe was giving me a tool. I installed it during an oil change I did on her car. She'd never notice a small magnetic device tucked under the chassis. The drone surveillance came later, after I confirmed through the tracker that she wasn't going where she claimed. That weekend she said she was visiting her mother in Los Angeles? The tracker showed her heading east toward Atlantic City. I followed at a distance, booked a cheap motel room nearby, and conducted the drone operation like a military mission. The footage I captured was damning. Not just them together, but Rose's complete transformation around Joel. She was a different person, more animated, more tactile, more present than I'd seen her in months. That hurt more than the physical betrayal. It wasn't just that she was sleeping with someone else, she was emotionally checked out of our marriage entirely. I spent 3 days editing the footage into a comprehensive presentation. Timestamps, locations, supplementary evidence from bank statements and phone records. My lawyer was impressed by my thoroughness. Most people come in here with suspicions, he said. You've built an airtight case. The Joel situation was delicate. I didn't want to ruin someone's life out of spite, but I also believed his wife deserved to know the truth, just as Jennifer had told me. So I created an anonymous email account and sent her everything relevant to her husband's affair. Photos, message screenshots, hotel receipts. I didn't editorialize, I just presented facts and let her decide what to do with the information. Within 48 hours, Joel's world imploded. His wife confronted him, apparently with their 3 kids present. She immediately filed for divorce and went nuclear on social media, not naming Rose specifically, but making it very clear what had happened. The daycare's parent community is tight-knit and gossip travels fast in upscale Orange County neighborhoods. Within a week, the board requested Joel's resignation. Meanwhile, I was preparing for the confrontation with Rose. When she walked in that evening with shopping bags, purchased with money we didn't have, probably using yet another credit card I didn't know about, I had everything arranged. I'd even moved some of my essential belongings to a storage unit earlier that day. I was ready for her to explode, to try to destroy things, to make accusations. But I wasn't prepared for her to immediately play the victim. "This is entrapment," she screamed when she saw the drone footage. "You violated my privacy. You stalked me. You committed fraud in my name," I replied calmly. "You spent $30,000 of debt under my identity. That's a felony. I was going to pay it back." "With what money, Rose? You've been funneling everything into this affair." She tried tears next. "I made a mistake. I was confused. Joel manipulated me." "For 7 months? You were manipulated for 7 months. Then came the blame shifting. I was emotionally unavailable. I didn't appreciate her ambitions. I was holding her back. I was boring, predictable, safe, all the things that now, apparently, were terrible qualities in a husband. So you committed fraud and had an affair," I said. "That was your solution." She had no answer to that. The divorce proceedings took 4 months. Rose hired a lawyer who tried to argue that she deserved more of our assets because her YouTube channel was the primary income source. My lawyer countered with the fraud evidence and the fact that I was the one who created all her content. I was the cameraman, editor, and technical director. Without me, her channel wouldn't exist in its current form. The judge wasn't sympathetic to Rose. The credit card fraud was particularly damaging. She'd signed documents using my information without my consent. That's identity theft. The judge ordered her to pay me back half of what she'd fraudulently spent, $15,000, and said she was lucky I wasn't pressing criminal charges. We split the apartment sale proceeds 50-50. I kept all the camera equipment since I'd purchased it for my business, and I could prove that with receipts. She kept her computer and personal items. The judge made it clear that her YouTube channel and its revenue going forward were hers, but she had no claim to my business or future earnings. During the proceedings, Rose tried multiple times to reach out. Texts, emails, even showing up at my temporary rental. "Can we please just talk? I miss you. We can work through this." I never responded. My lawyer advised complete no contact except through official channels, and I was happy to comply. The aftermath was where things got interesting. Joel, as it turned out, wanted nothing to do with Rose once his life fell apart. When she tried to contact him for support, he blocked her on everything. According to some mutual acquaintances, he blamed her for his divorce and job loss, which was rich considering he was an equal participant in the affair. But cheaters rarely take responsibility. Rose's YouTube channel suffered too, though not directly from me. What happened was that some eagle-eyed subscribers noticed inconsistencies. She posted a vlog claiming to be at a business conference, on dates that didn't match her social media stories. Someone dug deeper and found photos Joel's wife had posted, before making her account private, that showed the same Atlantic City locations on the same dates. The YouTube drama community loves this stuff. Within a week there were exposed videos and Reddit threads. Rose tried to do damage control, posting a tearful apology video about going through a difficult time and making mistakes in her personal life, but it backfired. Comments were brutal. Sponsors dropped her. Her subscriber count started declining. She moved to San Bernardino because it was cheap. Last I heard through mutual acquaintances she was working a regular job and doing YouTube part-time, but the algorithm had essentially buried her channel. Once you lose momentum on that platform, it's almost impossible to recover. I meanwhile thrived. Moving to San Diego was the best decision I ever made. I found a great one-bedroom apartment in North Park, a vibrant neighborhood full of creative types. Without the constant demands of Rose's channel, I could focus entirely on my own business. I landed contracts with several wedding venues as their preferred videographer. I started doing commercial work for local businesses. I raised my rates and was still booked solid. I also started dating again, though cautiously. I wasn't ready for anything serious, but I enjoyed meeting people without the baggage of a failing marriage. I was honest about being recently divorced, and most people appreciated the transparency. The monthly payments from Rose were consistent. Legally mandated, automatically withdrawn from her account. $375 every month for 40 months. Each notification was a small vindication, though eventually I stopped even noticing them. About a year after the divorce was finalized, I got an email from Joel's ex-wife, Karen. She thanked me for sending her the evidence about the affair. She said it was devastating but necessary, and that she'd been able to move forward with her life and protect her children. She'd gotten full custody and Joel was paying substantial child support and alimony. She'd also started dating someone new, someone trustworthy. People like them teach us what we won't tolerate, she wrote. Thank you for not letting me stay in the dark. I appreciated that message more than she probably knew. The drone, ironically, became a symbol of my new life. I started specializing in aerial videography, using that same equipment that exposed my ex-wife's affair. I filmed real estate properties, events, coastal landscapes. Clients loved the unique perspectives. I bought a second, more advanced drone and started offering specialized packages. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I'd think about those 3 years with Rose. Not with longing, but with clarity. I saw all the signs I'd missed or rationalized. The increasing emotional distance. The way she'd become more interested in her phone than conversations with me. The sudden business trips that seemed unnecessary. The defensive reactions when I'd ask simple questions. I learned that trust, once broken so thoroughly, doesn't repair. And that's okay. Not every relationship is meant to last. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons, and Rose taught me to value honesty, to trust my instincts, and to never lose myself in someone else's ambitions. When Rose sent that text 8 months after the divorce, "Walt, this is Rose. I'm sorry for everything. You were right. Joel turned out to be a complete jerk. I lost everything. Can we talk?" I stared at it for exactly 5 minutes. Part of me was curious. What did she want? Closure? A second chance? Money? But the larger, wiser part of me knew it didn't matter. Whatever she wanted would come with complications, manipulations, and drama. I'd built a good life without her. A peaceful life. An honest life. I deleted the message and blocked her number. 2 years after the divorce, I met someone new. Emily, a graphic designer who had her own business and understood the creative grind. We met at a networking event, started as friends, and slowly became something more. When I told her about Rose, she listened without judgment. "Sounds like you handled it perfectly," she said. "You got out and rebuilt. That takes strength." I didn't feel particularly strong during those dark months, but maybe that's what strength is. Moving forward even when everything hurts. Rose's final payment came on a Tuesday morning. Notification on my phone, $375 deposited. The last of the 15,000. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just nothing. That chapter was completely closed. I heard through old mutual friends that Rose had moved again, this time to Phoenix. A fresh start, they said. Her YouTube channel was essentially dead, sitting at 80,000 subscribers after hemorrhaging followers for 2 years. She'd found work in marketing and was apparently doing better. I hoped that was true. Not for any lingering affection, but because holding on to bitterness serves no one. She'd paid her debt literally and figuratively. Her choices had consequences. Losing her marriage, her career momentum, her affair partner, her reputation. That was enough. I was thriving. My business had doubled its revenue. Emily and I moved in together. I'd even started mentoring young videographers, teaching workshops on everything from technical skills to business management. One lesson I always emphasized: your equipment is only as good as your integrity. You can have the best cameras, the best drones, the best editing software, but if you can't be trusted, you'll never succeed long-term. Students would nod, probably thinking I was talking about professional reliability. But I was also talking about life. The drone that captured Rose's betrayal now captured weddings, celebrations, beautiful coastlines. The same tool, completely different purpose. It reminded me that nothing is inherently good or bad, it's how you use it. I never told anyone the full story of how I used that drone to expose the affair. Most people knew I'd gotten divorced, that there was cheating involved, but they didn't know the specifics. That was private, tucked away in a chapter I'd closed and locked. Sometimes I'd see Rose's old videos pop up in YouTube recommendations, algorithmic ghosts of a past life. I never watched them. There was nothing there I needed anymore. Life moved forward as it always does. The pain faded. The anger disappeared. What remained was wisdom, hard-earned through betrayal and recovery. And on particularly good days, when I was out filming a gorgeous sunset over the Pacific with my drone, Emily beside me, my business thriving, my life peaceful, I'd think about that moment when Jennifer sent me that text. The moment everything changed. I never thanked her properly for that message. It destroyed my world, but it also freed me. Sometimes the worst messages lead to the best outcomes. 3 years into my new life, something unexpected happened. I was filming a corporate event in downtown San Diego when I saw someone who looked familiar. It took me a moment to place him. Joel? He looked different, older somehow, wearing a cheap suit that didn't fit quite right. Our eyes met across the room. He recognized me too. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he walked over. "Walt," he said quietly, "I know you probably don't want to hear from me." "You're right. I don't. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. What Rose and I did, it destroyed a lot of lives. Mine included." I studied him. He looked genuinely broken. Dark circles under his eyes, a defeated posture. This wasn't the confident daycare director from the drone footage. "How's life treating you?" I asked, not really caring but curious despite myself. "Honestly? Terrible. Lost my job, my wife, my kids barely speak to me. I'm working as an assistant manager at a retail store now. Living in a studio apartment. Paying so much in child support and alimony that I can barely afford food." I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, nothing. "And Rose?" he asked. "Do you ever hear from her?" "No. And I intend to keep it that way." He nodded. "Smart. She tried to contact me a bunch of times after everything fell apart. Blamed me for ruining her life. Like she wasn't a willing participant." He laughed bitterly. "We both made terrible choices. But at least I own mine now." "Good for you," I said, and I meant it. Not because I forgave him, but because taking responsibility is the first step to becoming a better person. "You seem like you're doing well," Joel observed, gesturing at my professional setup. "I am. Very well, actually." That's good. You deserve it. "I know that doesn't mean much coming from me, but you do." I nodded once and walked away. That was closure, I suppose, though I hadn't been looking for it. That night, I told Emily about the encounter. She listened, then asked, "How do you feel?" "Indifferent," I said honestly. "He's paying for his choices just like Rose is. I've moved on." "That's healthy," she said, squeezing my hand. "A lot of people would still be angry. Maybe I should have been. But anger is exhausting, and I'd wasted enough energy on Rose and Joel. They were footnotes in my story now, not main characters." The business continued to grow. I hired 2 assistant videographers and a part-time editor. We rebranded as Horizon Media Productions and started landing bigger contracts. Corporate events, promotional videos for tech startups, even a few music videos for local bands. Emily and I got engaged on a beach in La Jolla, with the same drone that once exposed betrayal now capturing our happy moment from above. The irony wasn't lost on me. We planned a small wedding, just close friends and family. Nothing extravagant, just meaningful. I hired a colleague to film it. I wanted to actually be present for my own wedding, not behind a camera. The night before the wedding, I received an email. From Rose. Subject line, "Congratulations." I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity won. "Walt, I saw on social media that you're getting married. Congratulations. You deserve happiness. I know I don't have the right to reach out, but I wanted you to know that I've been in therapy for the past year working through my issues. I realize now how badly I hurt you, how selfish I was. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to apologize. Truly. What I did was inexcusable. I hope you have a beautiful wedding and a wonderful life. You were always too good for me. Rose. I read it twice. Then I showed Emily. What do you want to do? She asked. Nothing, I said. She apologized. I acknowledged that. But it doesn't change anything and I don't need to respond. You're sure? Completely. This is about her conscience, not about me. I don't owe her closure or forgiveness or acknowledgement. I've moved on and she needs to do the same without me. Emily nodded approvingly. I love how emotionally mature you are. I laughed. Betrayal will do that to you. You either become bitter or you become better. I chose better. The wedding was perfect. Intimate, joyful, real. Everything my marriage to Rose hadn't been. Emily and I wrote our own vows, and when I promised to be honest, faithful, and present, I meant every word with every fiber of my being. During the reception, my best man gave a toast. To Walt, who took the worst thing that ever happened to him and turned it into fuel for becoming the best version of himself. And to Emily, who saw that best version and said, "Yeah, I'll take that." Everyone laughed. Emily kissed me. And I realized something profound. Rose's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because of the pain, but because it freed me from a relationship that was slowly suffocating who I really was. If she hadn't cheated, I might have stayed in that marriage for years, gradually losing myself to her ambitions, her needs, her constantly escalating demands. I would have remained the guy behind the camera, never stepping into his own spotlight. Instead, I built a business I was proud of, found a partner who truly valued me, and learned to trust my instincts. Those lessons were worth the pain. 5 years after the divorce, my company won a regional award for Best Videography Services. The ceremony was at a fancy hotel in Los Angeles. As I accepted the award and gave my speech, I scanned the crowd and felt overwhelming gratitude, not despite what happened with Rose but in some strange way because of it. That betrayal had been a catalyst, forcing me to confront who I was and who I wanted to be. It burned away everything false and left only what was real and true. I never heard from Rose again after that congratulations email. According to the internet, she deleted all her social media and completely disappeared from the online space. Maybe she was living a quiet life somewhere, working a normal job, dealing with her own demons. I hope she found peace genuinely, because carrying around that much guilt and shame must be exhausting. As for Joel, I never saw him again after that corporate event. His story became a cautionary tale in the local parenting community, the director who threw away everything for an affair. I heard he eventually moved out of state, trying to start fresh where nobody knew his story. But their stories weren't mine anymore. I'd taken back my narrative, rewritten my ending, and created something beautiful from the ashes of that marriage. Emily and I eventually bought a house in Carlsbad, a beautiful place with an ocean view. We set up a home office where we both worked, occasionally collaborating on projects. She designed websites and branding materials while I created promotional videos. We were partners in the truest sense, equal, supportive, honest. Sometimes, when I was flying my drone to capture a stunning sunset or a perfect landscape, I'd remember that day I used it to document betrayal. And I'd smile, not with bitterness but with appreciation for the journey. That tool of destruction had become a tool of creation, just like my life had transformed from something broken into something whole. The scars were still there, certainly. I'd probably always have trust issues, always be a bit more vigilant, always pay closer attention to red flags. But those weren't weaknesses, they were wisdom. Hard-earned, painful wisdom that made me a better partner, a better businessman, and a better man. And that, ultimately, was the real revenge. Not destroying Rose's life, though her choices had done that well enough. The real revenge was building something so good, so solid, so genuinely happy that her betrayal became nothing more than a chapter in a much larger, much better story. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Maybe YouTube will no longer offer you my channel, so subscribe to it by clicking subscribe on the right under the video to receive new interesting stories. Also on the right of the video there is a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to, and you can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.